Here we go. Welcome to the Sports Hangover. I'm Michael Benatar, joined alongside J-Dog.
Mike, I'm really alongside you. We're next to each other in person. You know,
We're
we
here.
argued about Elon Musk and Twitter last
We
week,
did.
so I thought I got to come over and just do an in-person show and mend fences.
I'm still defending him, and you found in our group chat a lot of people defend him too.
A certain type of person in the group
What's
chat.
what's that mean?
It was you. It was our Texas friend and our rich friend.
Yeah.
And then it was the other side of the coin. Our lawyer friend was like,
Yes.
no.
Yeah, he
And
was
so
totally
I feel like
against
I'm
them.
on the lawyer side, of course.
Okay.
The sensible mind. You guys are entrepreneurs, you're businessmen. You might see it from one perspective, and I'm more on the moral side of the lawyer.
Moral side of there's nothing to be moral about.
The
for
layout
Elon.
seemed very illegal, how he was targeting people and making them work crazy hardcore hours,
Yeah.
as he would say.
Well, get with it. He just spent $40 billion. He's got to work those people.
$44 billion. His investment is not worth anywhere close to that. I thought I came over to mend fences. We don't have to argue it.
I just want to say there is now only 200 people currently working at Twitter because did you
It's
see?
not 200.
It said
2,000.
no. I thought it said 238 people left.
I think it's still like 2,000 because you have the new
Oh.
deadline this week, right? Where they said you have to commit to hardcore hours to make Twitter 2.0 the best thing, or submit your resignation. And a lot of people did submit their resignation. A lot of chatter last night. I don't know about your timeline. It was people saying goodbye to Twitter. I was like, it's probably not dying this soon. It's probably going to make the weekend. Maybe it'll die during the World Cup.
It's not going to die. More users on than ever. From Elon telling us that.
Is it a good thing when the users are coming on to say goodbye to the platform? Is that a positive?
It's not going anywhere. This guy spent way too much money. He's going to get it together. He's going to step down as CEO of Tesla and really just focus on growing Twitter.
I am concerned for my Tesla shares, and therefore I got rid of them.
You got rid of them?
I got rid of them.
Whoa.
I don't trust this unstable genius any longer.
He said he has rockets, cars, robots. How can you not trust him?
I don't have the energy for another Twitter rant. Okay. If you want that one, go down to last week's show and check that out. What I do have energy for is to talk about Tom Brady some more. I want to talk about Tom Brady and his great loss of FTX, because those are the two dominant stories continue, Twitter and FTX. So, Sam, who is not our rich friend, who's actually in charge of FTX, the criminal
SBF.
Sam.
SBF.
We call him Sam or SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried or something. He's the one who caused this collapse of the crypto industry with FTX. And we know Tom Brady and many stars are caught up in this. They're all getting sued, by the way. Do you see Tom Brady, Steph Curry, my guy Larry David? They're all getting sued for their role in the FTX commercial.
Well, it's weird because if you endorse something and something goes wrong with that company, are you really liable for it? That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's tough. It's like it was unregulated, which I think is tough. And we could do another hour on crypto and the FTX thing here. I think what's tough is those unregulated, and possibly people put their faith in famous people when maybe there should have been more warnings that, hey, you might lose everything.
So here is a timeline. If you're watching, we have a timeline.
We're live on video.
Somebody broke this down and started doing all of this. So we start at January 2021 or 2022. I think this is 2022. Retired in January.
Tom Brady, you're talking about.
Tom Brady retires. Then we have a February trip to Costa Rica. And then you see here, we decided as a family, stuff like this. Tom unretires.
And that's when
in March.
The Schefter scoop came out. And we thought he came back in spite of Schefter. But it turns out we're about to reveal why he really came back.
Well, the timeline is interesting because then there's Italian vacay photos in June, more photos.
Still with Giselle, right?
Still with the Giselle, supposedly. July, Tom Brady leave of absence in July, which thought that was really weird.
Singer, right?
Here in August, another day of absence. They go into the Bahamas. And then I can't see here, but the FDIC sends something FTX. And then Giselle immediately leaves Costa Rica. So this might be the point in August where they knew something was.
Giselle went to Costa Rica. Tom went back to the U.S. So they split from the Bahamas. So something happened in the Bahamas between August 11th and August 23rd, which is during Tom Brady's leave of absence.
Correct. Now, this is interesting. The only reason why I think there's an echo right here. There we go. I only think that there's an issue with all this because we don't really know what went on after the Bahama trip. Do you hear an echo?
I hear a little bit of an echo.
Where's that echo coming?
Could it be from your phone?
Oh, my phone's still on too? Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. That's
We're in person, guys. It's different here.
So the issue with this whole timeline here to me is if something went wrong in August, Do you immediately back out, or is this why people are pointing to this as this is when it all happened, right? Because you don't all of a sudden just get divorced in a month after, right? Like this,
because they were just in Italy over the summer with eating ice cream and taking pictures, so they seemed okay at that time.
I'm just trying to figure, okay, if it was me, wouldn't a divorce kind of something you kind of see coming, right? It doesn't just happen, and this seems very fast. So it kind of makes sense to where, okay, if Tom and Giselle were in the Bahamas, something went wrong. This is in August. We now see she wants to file for divorce, or she wanted it for a while, she says, down here in October. But they threatened divorce before, all this stuff. I don't really know if this timeline makes sense, but I did like it because it lined up with a lot of stuff. And it all has references here, like New York Post, People, a lot of gossip.
Mike, we covered this story extensively throughout the summer, and it was Tom Brady's leave of absence. I remember his face changed when he came back. He looked skinny and sick, and he lost all the weight. And that was never happening previously in the summer when he was doing training camp in July, for example, before his leave of absence. And I'm also seeing again, August 19th, the FDIC sends FTX something, and we don't know
we can't see it
exactly what it is on this cutoff here on our screen. But that's apparently when possibly FTX was first known to be bamboozling funds.
Yeah.
Possibly?
Well, this shit is wild. Like I can't. The story continues. It's like the girl that was operating, Sam's girlfriend or whatever, in the Bahamas. Previously, there's like post on her Tumblr that she got into like group sex, and she was really exploring group sex. So what I think, and people are saying, that whole house in the Bahamas, just orgies all the time.
There was like 10 of them living in the FTX house.
I think they were all kind of together. The Bahamas now just took withhold all of the remaining funds of FTX, which is kind of wild.
Well, they took, I think there was a hack, right? There was a hack where $600 million were removed. And at first, Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, said, that was just a small hack. Don't worry about it. It turns out that was the Bahamas government shaking him down, I guess, for some extra money, which 600 million to SBF is actually not a lot. To most people in most countries, it is a lot.
If he actually had that much money, that's the thing. It doesn't seem like they ever had that much money. It seemed like a whole scam the whole time.
A Ponzi scheme.
Every time I put money in, that money was actually just going to his bank account, going to something else.
And it's gone now, apparently. And where are you at with the idea that crypto might take a really long time to come back from this?
Yeah, I think it's going to take a really long time. There needs to be regulations. Clearly, we saw.
You didn't say that in the past always, right?
Well, we needed some sort of guideline to just make sure that we knew, you can't do this stuff. Like we just needed some rules to be put in place. And I think this is the scary part of it, because this guy was an exchange. And that you have trust in, right? You go to Coinbase. If Coinbase all of a sudden stole all your money, shit would be wild. The reason why they're regulated enough is because they're actually a public company on the stock market. You can invest in them. There's money there. People will do accounting. Like they have to file these paperworks. He was in the Bahamas for a reason.
That's true.
And that's the weird part about it. So I don't know. We don't have to go down this whole timeline, but we can all assume that this was why they may or may not have gotten divorced, and it stemmed back from, let's say, August. It still seems very quick to me to get divorced that fast. Who knows?
But to be clear, we are reporting on the Sports Hangover that FTX was exposed in August. Tom Brady, as a founder, as someone who lost hundreds of millions of dollars in FTX, that came out in August. And we are reporting that that's why they got divorced. TSH is reporting.
Yes,
Brady and Giselle got divorced in August, or decided to get divorced in August due to the FTX meltdown, which came out to all of us in October and November.
And we can see here, you can see Giselle with her new I can't even say jiu-jitsu
instructor in Costa Rica. I saw this very soon. By the way, I'm not an expert on relationships by any means, but if I was going to get a divorce, I probably wouldn't be dating a jiu-jitsu instructor in Costa Rica now, 2 months later.
Now we can have more conspiracies about this. Did she start sleeping with him while Tom was out playing football? And was this another factor in the reason why she wanted a divorce.
It's hard because we're already reporting the previous story, and it's hard to report multiple stories.
A lot of stories.
But there are multiple theories here.
I think
it's possible.
This could point to it too, and I don't know. There's just a lot of shit going on, and this guy's just a random guy.
He just looks like a guy. He doesn't even look that attractive, if I'm being honest.
Well, Jeremy, listen, they're dating now, and she's out there, supermodel with her instructor. So
in Costa Rica. I'd like to check out Costa Rica. A few other things on this topic before we move on off of Brady and crypto and FTX. One, a possible bigger conspiracy. Is it possible that SBF was working with the U.S. government to delegitimize cryptocurrency on a large scale to make sure that regulations had to be put in place following this?
Absolutely not. Did you see? Do you think he did this to put regulations in place?
Working with the U.S. government.
Well, his family works for the government, right?
They're both compliance officers from Stanford.
I would say no, because if he knew the rules, he knows how to break them. And I think this was a whole scheme to break the rules and never to do that. And did you see that? I don't know if it was real or not, but the Instagram chat with a reporter,
the Vox reporter, that's weird. Like, he's DMing himself and he's giving away like everything that happened.
He's like, I actually didn't want to do any of that stuff. I'm not a nice guy. I was never going to donate all this money and give it all away. He was getting it all himself.
Just a tip, if you ever commit a crime out there, any of our listeners, I know you get into some weird activities, don't admit it via DM to a national reporter.
No.
Just get a lawyer first. We have a lawyer friend we can connect you to. There's other lawyers out there.
A lot of lawyers.
Speak to your lawyer before you DM a Vox reporter who puts it out online.
I mean, you could also say, well, my Instagram got hacked. It's not really me. There's a lot of,
He's not saying that.
He's not saying that.
I think it was really him. The other theory that I wanted to share, I mentioned all of the stars and athletes who are being sued for their role in the FTX Super Bowl commercial, including my favorite Hollywood person ever, Larry David, is involved in this. Larry David did a commercial for FTX. It was actually, I watched on YouTube again today. It was 2.5 minutes. It was really long, the unedited version. And he was doing all these things, and he was saying that they're not going to work in real life, but it was things like the light bulb will never work, or all these things that became a big part of history. And then at the end, they said, so we have this new thing called FTX to manage your crypto. Larry David's quote in the commercial is, I don't think so. I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never. That was Larry David's one quote about crypto and FTX, and now he's being sued. That's crazy, but it's so Larry David, the way that only he can be in a commercial where he doesn't even portray someone who supports it, actually says it's never going to work, and is still sued for his role in
it. I think it's like ironic in a way, because it's just I don't know. First of all, I still don't understand why everybody's getting sued, but that blows my mind, because it's like
they endorsed it and it went to shit.
But Jeremy, it's like if your company you currently work at did something terrible.
Hangover Hotline? Is that the
sure?
company?
Yeah, that company you work for. If something went terribly wrong there, would they indict you to come to court? That seems ridiculous. You were just like one of the people they may have hired, and then you start hearing these other stories about FTX, like, oh yeah, we don't want you to write this. A lot of fluff pieces around, like, you got to write about this. Like, they were really good at deceiving. They were great.
Yeah.
I don't see your company bringing you to court for something they did. And that's what I don't understand. So maybe we got to get our lawyer friend on.
Maybe we do. I mean, he wants us to talk more general topics. He says we really cover the current events well. So maybe we'll just become a current events show with our lawyer friend.
Yeah. Well, hey, once everybody gets laid off, we can just be here every day for you.
If you work at Meta, come work for us.
All right. I don't have much else. Do you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers saying they're dead last night after Thursday Night Football?
That's funny. That the note I have in here, I didn't hear his quote, is the Packers are cooked. So cooked, dead.
He literally said, we're dead. I think it was like a joke, but they're not good.
They're actually dead. They're 4-7. The Vikings are 8-1. Way better than the Packers. 9-1 now. They're very good.
I don't know if Minnesota's actually that good, but
we could say that every week, and they just win at Buffalo. We watched it on this TV right behind us together, and you're still not saying they're very good?
I think there's a lot of deception in the league, because if we say, okay, so if we think, who did Dallas play last week?
Green Bay.
And
they won. No, Green Bay won.
That
was weird.
So that makes me think then Dallas is worse than what we really think,
and
right?
Dallas plays Minnesota this week.
And then if Dallas beats Minnesota, does that mean Green Bay's better,
not cooked, not dead.
So I don't know. It's really hard to understand it all, and that's why I'm very confused on gambling.
Speaking of that, on Monday night, the Washington Commanders beat the Eagles, which was a shocker. I think you won that one.
Yeah,
Heineke's got some dog in him. We like that guy. But what it did was complete the circle of the NFL. Did you see that graphic where Washington beating Philly completed the whole circle where one team beat another team, and it circled all the way around the 32 teams back, and the last one in the link was the Eagles had to lose to Washington, and it happened.
Now, the only thing I can point to, this is the first season we actually had a 3-week preseason, right?
Yes.
I think that hurt teams more than we think, because you watch football these days, there is not a lot of elite football happening on the field. I am very surprised that when we watch games, we're like, is this really on national TV right now? Is this actually happening? And I don't know if that's the reason, but to me, that seems like, okay, you're getting warmed up. Okay, October, you're in it. But then, oh, you got hurt or you did this. It's like Dak was hurt. Now he's coming back. Is he actually good? Zeke hasn't played at all. It seems like there's a lot more injuries. We've had how many more backup quarterbacks this year have played than last year?
I feel like by this point, there's always a lot, to be honest.
There's a lot going on. It's really hard to keep track of.
We're lucky Josh Allen's still out there. We almost lost
I'm actually kind of mad they moved it from Buffalo to Detroit.
It would have been epic in the snow, but they also, did you see the pictures today of the stadium? Yes, it looked unplayable.
It looked wild.
Like no fans could be in that stadium, but I would love to see Nick Chubb trying to like gain a first down in that snow.
They could have plowed it out. They could have cooled it all. It would have been good to go.
I'm playing several Bills, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in fantasy football this week. And I know you love fantasy football talk.
Love it.
I was hoping the game would stay in Buffalo. I wanted to see Stephon Diggs go off in the snow.
We stayed off that game. We didn't even have a little note here, but we can, let's talk picks. Let's talk football.
Yeah, let's do it.
We got dinner to go to.
How were you last week? How'd it go?
Okay. Last week we did 2-3. We are 24, 26-1 in the league. We did have conversations about trying to become the worst team in the league because you get paid. You get paid for that.
Guys, they're talking about it. It is what, week 12, week 11?
Yeah,
and they're talking about it.
So the idea is if you're the worst in the league, you get $100,000.
I know.
As long as you play the entire season. Next year, you better believe I'm going to have 2 entries. One entry will be just to lose, and one entry will be trying to win. Because losing that many games, just as hard as winning.
I agree with you. The problem is for 10 weeks, you tried winning, and now you're thinking that you're in position to lose the most of anyone, there's so many people in the contest.
The problem is we are dead center, like in the middle of the contest.
And that's what I'm saying. Maybe if you start trying to tank earlier, I don't know if it's any better because it's hard to predict. You probably would be tanking and actually doing well.
Well, we might be doing better if we actually just took losers. We thought that we're losers. All right. So this week, where do you want to start? Let's start with the first game at the top here.
Sure.
We like Chicago. We think it's the play. We know Atlanta and Chicago, weird teams. For weeks, I've been saying I hate Chicago. The more I watch them, I'm kind of like they seem to win games. They seem to get close. They keep the games close. Atlanta keeps it close. But I think this is where we want to go with it. We just felt like this was the right move, even though it's ugly. Ugly game.
It's Fields and Mariota. It's one of those, and I've given you several of these this year. When you think about the matchup, it's like they're the same. It's like the same mediocrity. I don't really think that anyone stands out there.
We did agree last week, mediocre, kind of a good thing.
I think you agreed to that. I agreed to that. What did I
say was mediocre that I liked?
I don't know, but I challenged you on it, and you said it's like a good term.
Something was mediocre.
I don't think of mediocre as a good term. You can vote on a Twitter poll, maybe.
I said I was mediocre at all sports, and I thought that was a good thing.
You're complimenting yourself.
Yes, I was complimenting myself.
That's not a good thing.
But I'm like decent enough at sports where you're like, I'm not terrible, and I can throw a ball. I can do the things that do whatever, and that's why I want to do our Sports Hangover athletic competition.
Which we are. We're doing a field day. I know you're drawing it up right now. We're going to go to a neutral location, neutral site game. Travel and accommodations are paid for. And we're going to do a real field day with any listeners that want to get involved. I mean, so far we have several listeners signed up.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be, I want it to be an annual thing, and I really want the skills competition to highlight weaknesses and strengths of a lot of people that are there, and I hope people show up and do it because it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited for it. It's not about the biggest or the fastest. It's about being an athlete.
It is.
And Mike, I've been playing ball sports my whole life.
Ball sports.
We're
not going to do that many ball sports. We're going to do things around the ball
sports.
The speed, agility, endurance, stuff like that. Those are the skills we need to show.
Well, I'm an athlete, and I put the ball in the hole when I need to. I get the ball from A to Z.
It's good. Put the balls in the hole.
I'm here for the hand-eye coordination.
If anybody has suggestions, just tweet us. We're still on Twitter at TSH Podcast. Tweet us and let us know if there's any suggestions that you'd like to see.
Also, let us know if you were called mediocre at something, if you'd be happy with that or not happy with that.
Well, if I said you were mediocre at cooking, I would say your food is usually decent, right? That's decent and mediocre.
No, mediocre is worse than decent.
No.
You're telling me that my food is average.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing. It's not
not a good thing.
But I would say the food that I cook is average because I'm not a chef, right? So it's never going to be chef level.
But you can make an above average meal if you put the time and energy into it.
But if you were just a mediocre cook, I feel like it's a solid thing. You're like, oh yeah, I can pretty much cook anything.
It's not solid for me. I don't want to be mediocre. Let us know.
It's like a 6 out of 10. That's not bad.
So would you say your picks this year have been mediocre or less than mediocre?
They've been mediocre. We're dead center. We're just right there in the middle. They're mediocre.
And you do have a losing record. So you now are admitting a losing record equals mediocre.
Well, listen, we're close to turning the boat around. Yeah, we're almost there.
Could happen any week, maybe week 11.
All we need to do is hit 64% and we're like winners gambling every week.
I don't know if the Bears are going to help you with that.
All right. Well, next game, we are going to play Houston. This is a gross game. Houston Texans. You know I love Washington. The line right here is 3 for Houston. I like it.
Houston's +3 at home, right?
Yes. Washington off their big win. We see Heineke with the chains on. I don't like that. I don't like things happening like that.
I mean, after Kirk Cousins wore the chains, he beat Josh Allen.
I know. Josh Allen was injured.
He was. He's throwing a lot of bad passes.
Yes. But I guess to me, thinking this is one of the worst teams in the league. They have 1 win, right? They need on Vegas's little ranking. They said Houston will have 3 wins this season, over under 3. This is one of the games they could win.
Yeah, it's at home.
Houston has been close in a lot of games. I feel like we've gambled on Houston a lot this year. I'm going with them. I like the 3 points at home. Washington's not that much better. Heineke's great, but I don't know if he's that good.
Super short week for Washington. They were at Philly Monday night. They get home at 4 a.m. drunk on Tuesday, right? Yeah. And now on Saturday,
drinking Busch Light.
I saw that. And now on Saturday, they're flying to Houston.
Who drinks Busch Light?
They're flying to Texas. We did when we were younger, but not at Heineke's age. And now they're flying on a Saturday to go down to Houston. I don't love the line. I would stay away from this myself because I can see it going either way. The one stat I would give you is the Texans have the 32nd, the worst rush defense in the NFL. Washington, they run the ball pretty good with Robinson and Gibson.
But don't you think a lot of the public will be on Washington on this game? Do you think most of them will be on?
If you're trying to fade the public, that's one.
We're fading the public.
Yeah.
We're taking. What are we doing next? We're New England. We're doing New England next.
Oh, they're playing the Jets.
New England's getting -3 at home. I like this a lot. I think New England is a good team coming off the bye. Ready to go.
Who's starting? Is it Zappy time?
I think it's Mac.
Mike, it's 5:00. It's Zappy hour.
No, it's not. Well, we're going soon to happy hour.
Okay.
Is it almost 5?
But it is Mac Jones again.
I just like New England. I think they're the team to bet on this week. This week, we were very casual with it. We didn't argue too much. You know, our mutual friend playing that dumb game against somebody else. It has nothing to do that. Where he's like picking lines against.
He's picking lines against someone.
He talks about that more than this game that he invested.
He's moved on from you.
Yeah. Invested over $1,000 in this game. Doesn't even mention.
Well, don't be so mediocre.
We're taking New England. What do you think?
That game is Patriots -3 at home against the Jets. That's a better side to be on. I know both teams, I think, are coming off the bye. I'd rather Mac Jones and Zach Wilson. I'd rather Belichick over whoever the Jets coach is. Sour.
We were going to take New Jersey, the Giants, but we moved on from that. We're taking.
How'd you move on from that? That's my lock of the week. And it was my lock of the week last week. They were -4.5 against the Texans. Yeah. I gave it to you. I know you put a note in here last week during the show, and it hit. This week, it's my lock of the week again. Giants -3 against the Lions. The line is smaller. Who's better, Lions or Texans? I'm not sure. I know the Lions won last week against the Bears. It tells you more about the Bears than the actual Lions.
Sometimes it doesn't, though. Sometimes I'm confused.
That's true. I like the Giants again in this spot. They win by 7 or 10, and they cover easily.
I don't trust them enough because I keep seeing that stat, how they've been very, very lucky.
But at some point, do you lean into that as a gambler?
You would want to, but I just feel like a lot of stats say they're not a good team. And all the stats, if you lean into that, Philly is a great team, right? So they lean into that. Philly's a good team. Even if they lose a game like that, we can still say Philly's a good team, but
yeah,
Giants, I don't trust, and I never have. Danny Dimes, he's not like somebody you're like, oh, 100%, like he's definitely going to win us the game.
A lot of people used to say that about Tua, and what changed this year?
Oh,
no. Well, we can get to that if you want.
We can get that.
What changed is a new head coach change. That's truly what changed. I know his speed receivers changed, but the one thing that changed is McDaniel's offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you're talking about the offense for who were we just talking about? The Giants. Daniel Jones
Jersey
has Brian
Giants.
Daboll. It's about Brian Daboll. It's not about Daniel Jones. It's about McDaniel. It's not about Tua. So maybe trust the system more than trying to expose the quarterback.
Didn't the new head coach of the Dolphins also try to ship everything they had possible to get Tom Brady?
No.
Were they not?
That was the owner, Steve Ross, doing that on the side before they ever hired Mike McDaniel. When they were trying to sign Sean Payton, to be the head coach,
and Tom Brady owning some of the team and blah blah blah.
I don't think he can afford that anymore.
I don't think he can afford that.
That'll never happen. I just realized that'll never happen. He's gonna be with the Bucs until he's 50 now.
All right, we'll see what happens with Tua. We're not. They're on bye this week.
They are on bye. I like the Giants side of it. I wish you wouldn't stay away from it. Maybe revisit that between now and Sunday morning.
We already submitted some picks, but we might be able to change some. Next game, I hate to do this. I'm taking Denver. I hate Raiders.
Whoa.
I hate the Raiders. They've been screwing us over in games.
Well, the Raiders screwed us last week with the Colts. We were told the Colts made the worst decision in the history of the NFL, and they won and covered in everything.
Literally everybody's like, worst decision ever.
They
bad
won
move.
outright. They money lined it.
It's so crazy. I couldn't believe it.
What does that say about the Raiders, though? You make a good point. I mean, the Raiders are who we thought the Colts were, maybe.
I think the Raiders and Denver are both teams that are poorly coached. We thought this division was going to be the strongest division, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. We have the Chargers, we have KC, we have all these teams. These teams are terrible. And Russ is really bad. Something's going on. We know the defense is good. They're -2 at home. It's going to be cold. It's going to be outdoors. I don't think the Raiders can do it. So I'm going with Denver here. It's I don't even want to watch this game.
Have you picked Russell this year? Is this your first Broncos?
I think it's the first
possibly?
Broncos pick. Yeah.
You avoided them 5 times a week for 10 weeks. 50 times you looked at the Broncos and said no.
Yeah.
And finally in week 11,
it's a good reason.
At home against the Raiders, you said yes, which is interesting.
So
maybe this is your strong lean then, if it took you until November 20th to support Russ.
I don't know. I almost feel bad. I see videos of Russ now. It's just like, yeah, you were just trying to get. I'm starting to feel bad.
Really? That's like another phase of it, right?
Yeah.
Like you used to hate him and now you just feel bad
for him. Well, now it's just like, it's actually real. And now I actually feel bad. I thought like, oh, maybe he could bounce back out of this. No, it's real. He's a terrible, he's terrible position.
He's not a real human being. So I don't think you have to feel bad.
All right. Last pick, mutual friend, loved it. We're going Pittsburgh at home, taking Cincinnati. I don't know what Pittsburgh is capable of. I don't believe in them much, but without, what's his name? On Cincinnati. Why can't I think of his name?
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
Still on crutches, by the way. I'm sorry to see that. The hip injury doesn't sound good.
You don't want your hips fucked
Not
up.
at that age when speed is a weapon.
We're going Pitt here. I mean, this is...
What's the line?
It's 4 at home.
+4 at home. So last week, the Steelers hosted the Saints. And that was another lock I gave you. And I told you to mark it down, but you didn't.
We didn't take Pittsburgh.
So the Steelers were +1.5 against the Saints. I was like, I love it. I love the situation. I love the line. Do it. Similar this week, they're playing the Bengals
Sunday night
+4. It's not Sunday night.
It's not Sunday night.
That got flexed out. It was such a bad game. It got flexed.
Wait, what was flexed in?
A home game, SoFi, Chiefs Chargers.
Okay,
the LA game at SoFi.
All right.
Mahomes and Herbert, much more watchable than Burrow Pickett, right?
Too bad it wasn't in Vegas because you said you'd only play Vegas. You'd go to a Vegas game if they got flexed in on a.
That's true, but then we found out the Raiders are terrible and no one will flex them in.
No one's gonna flex them in.
Maybe in a few years. There's a Taylor Swift concert apparently in Vegas that will be much more popular than any Raiders game.
Did you see that with the?
Yeah, we could talk about.
There was like 2 million people trying to get it all at once, and Ticketmaster couldn't handle it.
Yeah, J-Dog takes on Ticketmaster,
and they were saying the amount of people that wanted to do it, she would have to put on 990 shows, which is like 2.5 years. She'd have to put on shows every single day for all the people that wanted tickets.
And that's not possible. But what is possible is not selling all of the general tickets in the pre-sale. And that's what Ticketmaster did.
Oh.
They had pre-sale for certain people.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was in the queue. You either got it or you didn't, like a normal pre-sale. And then the next day, the real tickets were supposed to go on sale, the general admission tickets.
But they're all gone.
Then they announced that morning, there's no more tickets. They're all gone. And they were only given out in the pre-sale. But Ticketmaster, who has a monopoly on these tickets for some reason, no one's able to challenge them or do anything about it. And I think we need a government committee to look into it.
I think if you did get one of the tickets, and I know somebody that got a ticket.
Me too.
Who
Maybe we know the same person.
Is it Josh?
No.
Josh got a ticket.
Are you naming people?
My friend Josh, his wife got 4 tickets.
Oh, but their kids are so small they don't need them.
But they're taking their kids.
No.
Yeah. And I said, you need to sell that ticket for $50,000
to an adult who will recognize the value of it.
You bought them for $200. You can easily sell it for easy $5,000 for sure. But people are listing it for $96,000 right now.
Their kids are so young. I don't know if they listen or not. Their kids are so young. Put them in the car with a Taylor Swift soundtrack, and they'll think it's the greatest thing ever.
Won't know the difference.
We won't know the difference.
It's
pregame with the kids, leave them at home, sell the other 2, or give them out to podcast hosts who they know and love.
I would sell that ticket immediately. If Aaron got a ticket,
$5,000 is that the real retail on these?
People have tickets up for sale right now for $90,000.
I didn't think they were selling them. Actually, that's just for fun, right? No one's buying $90,000.
You never know.
One concert.
Never know. I'm sure you could sell for 5. I'm sure you could sell for 10. And if that was the case, no one's going to see Taylor Swift if I got tickets.
I'm putting Ticketmaster in the bucket with FTX and Twitter. We need to eradicate them from the earth.
Taylor was mad. She was mad at it.
She sticks up for her fans more than most artists do.
Well, she was told by Ticketmaster that they would be able to handle the volume. The website went down too.
Yeah.
It's not a good time.
It's not good.
That's all I got.
I was talking about Bengals Steelers.
Yes, yeah.
And I wanted to make a point where I don't like this. I don't like this line. I don't like your picks this week. I don't like the Steelers +4 at home. The Bengals lost to them in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
They've been watching that tape, licking their wounds for 10 weeks.
That was with Mitch, though.
It was with Mitch, but Burrow was harassed in that game.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers defense is not as healthy. Minka Fitzpatrick just had an appendectomy. He's not playing. I know TJ Watt's back. He's still recovering from his injury. I think the Bengals are mad that the Steelers beat them in week 1. I think the Bengals are a much better team. I think Burrow's so much better than anything the Steelers offense is doing, which is hard to watch.
But
Bengals are going to run up the score.
Do we think we have a lot of recency bias? Do we actually think Josh Allen is that good? And then you see the stat, most interceptions this year. And then we don't think, oh, he's a terrible quarterback. If that was Heineke or Mariota, we'd be like, yeah, we know he's terrible.
But it's an eye test too. You watch Josh, okay, he's making big aggressive throws and he's missing. You watch Mariota and it's like, you're not an NFL quarterback. That's 2 different levels, right?
I know, but I think also are we giving too much prop to Cincinnati because they made it to the Super Bowl last year?
You know what? You can take that all away. Let's just call the Bengals mediocre for a moment, which maybe they are, right? You would say they're mediocre.
Yeah, they're a good team.
Let's just call them mediocre if that's what you call it. They're mediocre.
Yeah.
You know who's not even mediocre?
Who?
The Steelers, especially the Steelers offense. And I say that because I watched them play the Dolphins recently. Our mutual friend was over with a third screen on Sunday just to have the Steelers watch them play. They didn't look good last week either. The offense doesn't move the ball properly. They only get a couple possessions a game and they punt a lot. It's a division
home dog.
Let me just throw a few more out there that you didn't mention.
Sure.
We mentioned earlier in the show, Vikings Cowboys. Weird line. Vikings home, coming off the win at Buffalo, now playing the Cowboys, who lost to the Packers. This game's in Minnesota. Vikings +1.5.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Vikings on that.
I have heard a lot of pro bettors back in Dallas here.
Yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense based on the circle, like we said earlier.
Circle of life in football. Yeah.
So they'll probably beat them. I like that
one. These weird lines are hard because you don't know what to do when you don't understand. You're like, why is this way? We think it should be a different way. But that's what it is. And Dallas makes sense, but I just hate them so much. I hate both these teams. I hate Kirk Cousins so much after that plane ride.
Yeah.
He's out. I'm out on him.
The other one that I hate is Andy Dalton, and he's starting again for the Saints and the Rams defense.
They didn't put Jameson?
No, it's Andy Dalton again. I think the Rams defense and Aaron Donald will harass the Saints offensive line, down 3 starters, and the Rams are +3 in New Orleans.
I don't like the Rams either. It's hard.
They're not good. Stafford's cleared. He's going to play.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know.
Let's go to happy hour.
All right, good. Check out the sportshangover.com. New swag up there. We have a holiday.
I should have worn my hoodie.
Oh my God.
Opportunity.
We have a holiday version of the sweater up there. Nice. I also made an alternative logo I didn't show you. I'm starting to just make alternative logos to see. A little beer mug in there. I'll show you later.
That's great. Check that out on the sportshangover.com. We're off for a few weeks. J-Dog's traveling to the East Coast.
You're bringing your setup.
I'm not.
We have to do our prediction show.
Traveling. I'll be back before the New Year's
All right,
Eve.
good. All right.
Please, it's mid-November. But we'll see you in a few weeks.
All right. See you.